Wild Bill Hickman was baptized into the Mormon Church in 1839 and served as bodyguard for Mormon prophets Joseph Smith and Brigham Young. Hickman was also a member of the Mormon vigilante group called the Danites. Following the death of Joseph Smith, Hickman joined the Brighamites under Brigham Young and went to Utah, where he claimed to have committed multiple murders under the direction of Brigham Young, such as the murder of Richard Yates. The following are the details of the event, as reported by Hickman himself. He wrote, "One Yates, a trader, came to Bridger twice, buying beef cattle for the government. We kept watch of the United States camps every day. One day, they moved up the creek about 4 miles, and we saw a vacancy between them and their cattle. We made a rush and drove off 750 head. About this time, it was noised about that Yates had let the soldiers have his ammunition, and that he was acting the spy for them. One of the Conover boys saw a lone man traveling. After learning his name, Yates, he marched him to Bridger, where he was placed in the big stone corral and a guard placed over him. I will here state that the office I held was that of independent captain, amenable to none but the head commanding general or governor, Brigham Young. I was asked to take the prisoner, Yates, to the city with me. He had a fine gold watch and $900 in gold. We traveled about halfway down Echo Canyon, to where the general's headquarters were located. I delivered General Wells, a member of the first presidency under Brigham Young, some letters, and asked him what I should do with my prisoner. He said, he ought to be killed, but take him on. You will probably get an order when you get to Colonel Jones' camp. Within 3 or 4 miles of the camp, we met Joseph S. Young, a son of Brigham's. He hailed me and said his father wanted that man Yates killed, and that I would know all about it when I got to Jones' camp. We got there about sundown, and were met outside by Colonel Jones. He took me aside and told me he had orders when Yates came along, to have him used up. Supper was brought to us, and Yates soon went to sleep on his blankets. Flack and Meacham spread their blankets and soon went to sleep also. No person was to be seen when Colonel Jones and 2 others, Hosea Stout and another man, whose name I do not recollect, came to my campfire and asked if Yates was asleep. I told them he was, upon which his brains were knocked out with an axe. He was covered up with his blankets, and a grave dug some 3 feet deep near the camp by the firelight, all hands assisting. Flack and Meacham were asleep when the man was killed, but woke up and saw the grave digging. The body was put in, and the dirt well packed on it. The next day, I took the $900, and we all went to headquarters. Flack and I went to Brigham's office. He asked what had become of Yates. I told him. He then asked if I had got word from him. I told him that I had got his instructions at Jones' camp, and also of the word I had got from his son Joe. He said that was right, and a good thing. I then told him I had $900 given me to bring in, that Yates had at the time he was captured. I told him of the expense I had been to during the war, and asked him if I might have part of the money. He gave me a reprimand for asking such a thing, and said it must go towards defraying the expenses of the war. I pulled out the sack containing the money, and he told me to give it to his clerk. The money was counted, and we left.